this guy, God, I met this guy in Tampa. They go, B-sides, they go, you're going to keynote. And then they go, you're going to keynote with Kevin Johnson. I'm like, are you kidding me? I kind of fell in love with this guy.
He cuddles well.
I always want to say about Kevin is Kevin's a friendly competitor, and he goes, no, he's not. He is a wonderful colleague. We had a love fest earlier today. We're going to get teary. We love each other to death. Kevin is one of my idols in this industry. He has been around forever. He was an instructor for years.
You just called me old.
I got as much gray hair almost as you. I use Just for Men. He has been running Secure Ideas for the past...
It'll be 9 years in August.
9 years.
Yeah.
They come back year after year. We keep having them. Every year I go, not going to have Kevin. And I go, I have to have Kevin. It's my hit. This year we've had 2 Kevin Johnsons. The other Kevin Johnson refers to himself as the other Kevin Johnson, and we always say, no, you're our Kevin Johnson. This is the other.
Yeah, I'm the other.
Without further ado, please put your hands together for Mr. Professionally Evil, Kevin Johnson.
Oh, man. So, talking about the real Kevin Johnson who spoke yesterday, I'm sitting at my booth, and a gentleman walks up to me, and he says, and he was being helpful, right? He's like, don't you speak in 5 minutes? And I had a moment of panic. Like, oh shit, do I? Luckily, Larry, who is sitting at the booth with me, he's one of my guys, he's like, no, Kevin, you don't. That's the other Kevin Johnson. It's like, but I'm the other Kevin Johnson. So I'm Kevin. I've been Kevin for 46 years. I've been Kevin Johnson for 18 less than that. You do the math. I'm lazy. So we're going to talk today about something that is near and dear to my heart. This is something that matters a lot to me, and I hope that you enjoy the ride, but if you don't, then you just are wrong. And so we're going to talk about how we can fix and I'm going to use a phrase now that you're all going to laugh at because it sounds like a marketing phrase, but the skills gap that we keep hearing about. Right? And while I don't believe that most of the information we have about the skills gap is true, I believe most of it is marketing crap from companies that want to sell more training. I do believe that we have some problems with filling positions. We have some problems with filling positions with people who are not only qualified, but are actually good people. And one of the reasons for this, in my opinion, is that it's so important, is the job that we do is critical for the future. And I don't mean that to blow smoke up your rear. I mean that because it's true. I have 2 daughters, and you'll hear about my kids if you haven't already. I love my daughters, and currently they still like me. My understanding is as they get older, that will change. And then I hope that it then changes back, is my understanding. But I love my 2 daughters. They're awesome. My wife is amazing at having kids. I just got lucky. They're beautiful kids, so they can't be mine. Brenna, when she was 9, and I've talked about this on this stage before, Brenna, when she was 9, had her identity stolen. She was treated at the local Wolfson's Children's Hospital, which was wonderful. They dealt with us, the family, and her amazingly. And then about 3 months after she was in the hospital, they were breached. And they lost the medical data and information about all of their patients. And part of me is furious. I will acknowledge the fact that if I ever find the person who breached Wolfson's and stole my daughter's data, I will probably forget the ethical part of my title. And I got to having a conversation with my 9-year-old daughter about the fact that for the rest of her life, she was going to have to deal with identity theft. That you can Google search her social security number today, right? And that's a problem. And I feel like one of the main reasons we have that problem is that too many organizations either don't understand why security is important, and or they can't find people who are willing to fix the problems. We see too many talks. I was having a conversation with a gentleman earlier. We see too many talks about people who stand up here and talk about, I hacked this and I'm awesome. But they don't really talk about, this is how we fix it, right? And this is what we do to make it better. Okay. We also see way too much information about cool hacks. Yet, as somebody else said to me this morning, MSO 8067 is still in the wild. And for the people who don't know, the 08 is the year the patch was released, right? That patch is almost older than my kids. That's a problem. And we still see it. And we can all sit here and clap ourselves on the back for being cool hacksaws, or we can actually go fix stuff. And that's what I want us to do. I want us to fix it. And I talk about this, and I use the title, The Great Explainer, because of Richard Feynman. And I never met Richard Feynman. I wish I had. He was a physicist, way smarter than I am. I'm not that smart. I'm an idiot. I barely made it out of high school. I fake it, right? I do what I need to do to make it work. But Richard Feynman, if you ever listen to his presentations, his classes, if you ever listen to interviews with him, one of the main things he talks about is how critical it is for us to share the knowledge we have. That we have to make other people better because they know us. We have to raise the waterline for everybody so that we float the boats higher, right? That's our job. That's our main being. When I die, which I hope is a long, long time away from now, but I will say every birthday it gets closer, right? When I die, I hope that what people say about me, other than the fact I'm fat and lazy and funny looking, is that people learned from me. Even if all they learned is what not to do, right? That's my goal. I'm also a greedy capitalist, so my goal is to be protested by the Occupy movement, but that's a different goal. Pup tents in my cul-de-sac or something. Before we really get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Kevin, like I said. I'm a nerd. I am such a nerd, I've said this before, but I am such a nerd that the bully who used to take my lunch money still does. But he makes a damn good Subway sandwich. I am the CEO or head nerd of Secure Ideas. We are a consulting firm, right? We're pen testers. What does that mean? And why does it impact you guys? It means we're hackers. The majority of what we do for a living, and this is important because of the way I look at things, is break into companies who gave us permission, steal steal stuff. By the way, PG-13, okay? Can we go with that? We steal stuff, and then we show them how we did it so they can fix the problems. And the reason I mention this is because it affects my perspective. It's the way I talk about things, right? Some people look at it and go, oh my God, did you see the Equifax breach? Oh my gosh, the Equifax breach. I go, oh my God, did you see the Equifax breach? It was awesome. I mean, it wasn't awesome for them, and it wasn't awesome for all of us, but oh my God, it was awesome. I like this stuff. I nerd out on security. Right? Okay, so that's me. I'm also an IANS faculty member. That's kind of fun. They have the world's most conceitedly named service. Ask an expert. I always laugh, right? They'll get us on those calls. It's like, Kevin will be your expert today. It's like, oh, damn, I got to live up to that now. I am also a speaker and author. I do courses. I taught and wrote the courseware for SANS Institute. I've taught at Black Hat and DerbyCon. I like to say that I'm an international speaker because I taught a class in Australia once and Canada a few times. Right? I'm like the Jacksonville International Airport. We have one flight to the Bahamas. I told that joke at a Jacksonville Chamber event. This dude got really pissed. He's like, we are too an international airport. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, yes, we are. I'm like, okay, great. One question. If you can answer it with anything other than Atlanta, I will agree you're an international airport. Where's customs? I'm also an open source guy. You know, Samurai WTF is my project. I started that 10 years ago, a whole bunch of other things. And I'm a nerd. My wife says, the thing I'm about to talk about is I'm the nerdiest thing I've ever done. I pointed out to her that she met me when I was 26, so she doesn't know. But I am a member of the 501st Legion. We are a Star Wars costuming group. 12,000 members or 16,000 members strong worldwide. We build screen-accurate Star Wars costumes, and then we wear them to raise money for charity, right? I want to say last year we raised something like $14 million worldwide, right? So thank you, but that wasn't me. I just want to be very clear, that wasn't me. I'm just one of the nerds in a Darth Vader costume, right? And I get to do cool things like go to hospitals and cheer up kids and stuff like that. So, like for example, the picture of the Vader there is me. That was an event where they brought in 200 or 300 blind kids, and we let them feel the costumes so they knew what the characters look like. I'm crying in that helmet. Right? That's what I get to do. I'm building a Chewbacca right now. I've been building Chewbacca for 5 years, and I'm about a month from being done. I am so excited. I will admit that there is Wookiee hair everywhere in my house. When I got here 2 nights ago, not last night, night before, I pulled my clothes out of the suitcase and Wookiee hair came out with it. So, and for the people who don't know, Wookiee hair is just weave hair. I own 26 pounds of weave at my house, which I believe is more weave hair than anybody should own. So the best part is once I finish costume, I have to go to a hairstylist and wear it and have them trim me. I just want to walk into Supercuts that way, right? Like, I'm here for a haircut. I think that'd be good, right? Okay, so one last thing about me. I have a sense of humor. Please note, you might have misheard me. I did not say I have a good sense of humor. I said I have a sense of humor. My favorite joke, which was my favorite joke last year, it's still my favorite joke. Do you know why Walmart wasn't hacked? They're not a target. Exactly. I got to introduce like the CISO of Walmart at an event, and he wouldn't shake my hand after I told that joke. I said you weren't hacked. I thought you had the good side of the joke. So, the last thing I want to point out, and this is my sales pitch for the day, okay? I have 2. And after I give you my sales pitch, you'll recognize I'm a sucky salesperson. 1, if you are a veteran, active duty military, or first responder, almost all of our training is free for you. All you have to do is ask. We'll give you a coupon code. No, that's not, don't applaud me, I'm not the veteran. I have bad lungs. I do say veteran though, because this veterinarian wrote me. I used to say vets, if you're a vet, and this guy wrote me, and I'll be honest, if he had been polite about it, I would have given him the coupon code, but he wrote rude. He's like, well, you probably won't give it to me because I'm a veterinarian. And I'm like, you're right. No. So, that's the first one. Second sales pitch. If you are a nonprofit charity, our services are free. Please note, I did not say our services are free for 6 months. I did not say some of our services are free. Our services are free for as long as we offer the service. You have to be an approved nonprofit charity. To be clear, what I mean by approved is I approve you. It's a pretty simple rule. Don't be a dick charity. Westboro Baptist Church, the people who protest military funerals, they are a federally recognized nonprofit charity. Right? Fuckers. So, that's my sales pitch for the day. We're going to talk about the problems. We're going to talk about the shoulders of giants, and then how do we move forward. The first problem we have as an industry, we have a skills gap. I know. Marketing bullshit. But it's true. We have trouble finding people who know about security. We have trouble finding people who know how to fix the problem. I want to point out that I have quoted 2 different articles here from the same source that are 5 years apart. I think. Might only be 4. I suck at math. We've had this skills gap for as long as I remember. Alan Powler has been ranting about it at Congress. And Alan Powler's a good guy, I like him. But he's been beating the same drum forever. We suck at finding people who know stuff. And the other part of this slide, in my opinion, tells you why we suck at finding people who know this stuff. Because what I did is I went out to a number of training sources last night. Because I wanted to get the most up-to-date information. I also wrote my presentation last night. But I wanted to get the most up-to-date information. To take a 6-day class, end certification, is $7,379. Who the hell can afford that? I can't, and I run a successful security consulting firm. There's no way. And that's not just one source. I want to be very clear, right? All of the major training sources for information security training is multiples of thousands of dollars to get in the door. We're talking 3, 5, and 6-day courses costing $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Oh, and you got to travel there, right? I can't do that. I get calls daily, emails daily from people. I want to learn what you do. No, you don't. Okay, you do. It's awesome. I love what I do. I really do love what I do. Right? How many other people get to say, so I was sitting at work today and I stole $1 million from a company. That's fun. Right? But how do we learn this stuff if every single place we go, all they want to do is take money from us? And lots of money. I've been ranting about this for years. I refer to it my hashtag, because I found out, some millennial told me I needed to have a hashtag. So I created one, affordable training. Because the reality is, training has to be affordable. Because if it's not affordable, we can't do it. And I'm not getting political here, right? We're not going to talk about free college and all that kind of, and I'm not saying free college is a bad idea. I didn't go to college. I don't know if college is a good idea, right? But if we can't afford to learn it, if we can't go to a good place where we can trust the information, because that's the thing I'm going to talk about in a second, the next slide, is the fact that so many of the sources of information we have that aren't $7,000 are wrong. I saw this article being shared. I'm skipping ahead. But I saw this article being shared on Twitter by lots of people I respect. And it was a blog post about MD5 hashes. And I went to the blog post, and the entire description and conversation was about how to decrypt MD5 hashes. Laughing is the right reaction to that. Because you can't decrypt MD5 hashes. That's why they're called one-way hashes. It's in the damn name. And I read the article, and I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I didn't put the article up on a slide because I don't want to embarrass the person who wrote it. Because I don't. I'm a mean guy. I am. In court records, and not divorce court, I'm called an asshole. You got to mention it wasn't divorce court, because I'm assuming that happens a lot in divorce court. The defense attorney, I was doing some work shutting a company down because they were running those scams, you have a virus, and the defense attorney called me an asshole in the deposition. And I didn't know what to say because I was under oath, so I said, yes, I am. Then when I testified, the judge said to me, hey, wait a minute, you're the asshole, aren't you? Yes, Your Honor. I don't know what to say to that. Couple months I'm testifying for the Department of Justice on that same case, so I'll be a federally court-recognized asshole. I think this is an accomplishment, right? Like, it doesn't help arguments with my wife, though, because she can call me an asshole and I can't argue it. But, I'm not a nice person is what it boils down to, but I didn't want to embarrass this guy. And I go and I look at the blog, and the blog has some really good information, and it has some really shitty information. And then I realize with the screenshots the person has is that the tool set the person was using, and I don't know whether that person wrote the tool set or they used somebody, like I don't know, but the tool set referred to it as decrypting MD5 hashes. I went out, I've seen documentation from major companies that teach information wrong. Hell, for years, Microsoft gave bad information in their documentation. Now Oracle has taken over that title. We teach people badly, right? How many people here have gone to college for computer science? How many people here in college were taught security techniques and requirements and whatever? I'll point out for the people who don't notice, lots of hands went up for the first question, and I think I saw 4 hands for the second question, right? We're not teaching it. I go into a high school, because one of the things we do at Secure Ideas is that we try to push education. As a matter of fact, we push it so hard, I own a 6-day web pen testing course that we can't say what it was written for, because that's wrong. But you can look at my resume. And we open sourced the entire 6-day course just over a year and a half ago. That's how important we think education is, right? And I'm not going to say that information is right. I'd like to believe it was right. I wrote it, and I'm a genius. But we want to make sure the data's out there. Another problem we have that didn't flip. I'll walk over here and flip it. No, now it flips. Did you see that? It knew I was coming. It waited. Now it'll flip a lot. The other problem we have is, what do we teach, right? I get asked all the time, how do I become you? How do I get a job like you? And I say up here, most people don't even know the path. And the pun is totally intended. So the IT nerds in the room get it, I hope. Because way too many security people I talk to don't know how to manage a Windows system. They don't know how to install software. They know how to pen test, right? They downloaded Kali or Samurai WTF, and they ran some tools, and then they got a job, right? I read the threads. I run and have moderated mailing lists and forums and boards of conversation, and I see the questions, right? I downloaded this software, and I don't know how to install it. Double click on it. Do I double click with the mouse? I've taught classes on web pen testing where I have literally had to have a facilitator sit next to a student so that when they got to the exercise, and the first step in the exercise was open Firefox, the facilitator could reach over and double-click on the Firefox icon on the desktop because the person didn't know how to do that. And I was morally bound to not describe in the exercise steps how to double-click on Firefox. And you think I'm exaggerating. We hear it all the time, right? Yeah, I saw it on Twitter just last week and ranted about it. SMS is insecure, so we should remove all SMS two-factor from our accounts. At least 100 InfoSec professionals shared that tidbit last week. Really, we should remove SMS two-factor because SMS is insecure. Did you recommend another option? No. Don't get me wrong, I'm not arguing, I'm not standing up here, I don't want anybody walking out here going, Kevin's a moron, he said SMS is secure. No, I didn't. But I will tell you that SMS two-factor authentication is more secure than no two-factor authentication. Right? But we don't understand that well enough as a community. The other problem we have is, where do we go to get into this? Right? How do I go from being that high school student or that college kid to be a pen tester? I want to be very clear. In my opinion, and since I have the microphone, I'm right, that is not a single step. And we talk to people all the time, right? Hey, I'm in college right now. I'd like to be hired by Secure Ideas as a penetration tester. My answer is, well, that's nice to like. It's important to have goals. You're not going to meet that one. Because in my opinion, and I will point out that while it's not I'm right because I have the mic, it's I'm right because I do the hiring at Secure Ideas. Owner's privilege. If you want to be a senior security consultant at Secure Ideas, you have to have a decade of experience as an IT admin or a developer. Because I don't give a shit about your ability to pen test. I don't. These people who come to me and they're like, oh, I wrote a buffer overflow. Yeah, so did my 9-year-old. Because she read an article on the internet. And I don't mean to downplay the difficulty of writing a buffer overflow. What I do mean to downplay why that's so fucking important. What we're supposed to know how to do is to understand how that buffer overflow impacts the business we're consulting for. Which is why I want you to have 10 years of experience as an IT person. I want you to know what it's like to be up at 3 a.m. fixing a server that you broke, let's admit it, and having to fix it by the next morning. I want you to know what it's like to set up a major domo mail list. Yes, I'm old. Subscribe yourself to it to test it, send the test email, zip, it worked, go home, come back the next day to 2.5 million emails in your inbox because you were the idiot that subscribed the listserver to the listserv. Yeah, you too. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I found out how many messages it took to crash Exchange, but right? And the reason I want you to know that is not just because I want another story to laugh at you about, I do, but because I want you to understand the impact your recommendation as a security person has on the business. I see it all the time because I'll tell you, one of my jobs, we have this service called SASTA where we do advisory for companies and we work with developers and things like that. And so we read a lot of other companies' pen test reports. And let me tell you right now, many, many people are morons writing reports. I'm not even going to argue the putting your logo on a Nessus report does not make it a pen test. Because if you think that, you're too dumb to learn. But I will argue that telling an organization that has SQL injection in their login field how their clickjacking implementation is not good enough means you don't understand how applications work. You don't understand risk. You don't understand, and that's a problem, right? And I'm not claiming I do. I've been a moron for longer than ever. And every day I realize how dumb I actually am. When I got involved in IT to become a security person, when I decided I wanted to be a security person, I literally sat down and wrote down a list of the 10 things I needed to know. And I'm not a list person, but I wrote down the 10 things I needed to know to call myself an information security person. And I learned one of the 10. And I had a list of 23 things I needed to learn. And I learned one of the things, and I had a list of 45 items I needed to learn. I'm now at a point where the list is so big I had to buy a new hard drive, okay? I like Google Drive because they haven't limited my list. I know less now percentage-wise than I knew then because now I know a whole bunch of the shit I didn't even know I didn't know. Which scares me even more because tomorrow I'll learn 4 more things I didn't even need to know I needed to know. It's scary and awesome because I like learning, right? The other problem we see is how do you get a skill set? How do you prove I'm a pen tester, right? I know a way. Hack Amazon. Worked for Kevin Mitnick. Okay, it wasn't Amazon because it was in like the 30s. But I might be exaggerating slightly. I do that with scum. But, oh yeah, I said it. And I've said it before. We'll talk about that next. See the ethics bullet? Right? We have to learn. And we have to have a safe place to learn. And one of the things that a lot of people do is like, oh, it's capture the flags. And I want to be clear, I don't have a problem with capture the flags that are set up correctly and authorized. Okay? But I will tell you that most of the capture the flags environments I've looked at aren't actually relevant to the real world. Okay? And that's a challenge to improve them, not to bash them. But you need a place to practice. That's why Samurai WTF exists. It's why things like the cyber ranges exist. I think it's a good idea to go get information about environments you can play with. Work with your local schools. Work with your local companies. If you're not in a security company, let's say you work at Express Scripts. I'm just going to pick on them because they were mentioned as one of the sponsors. If I was Express Scripts, and I want to be clear, I have no idea if they do this or not. If I was them, I would take one of our development environments and I would set it up in a way to allow our people to practice and test and learn how to hack it there in the company. Set it aside, build the rules of engagement, all that kind of stuff. But what you're going to do is you're going to build up skill set safely. Right? Guess where you're going to be able to use that skill set? At your company. Now, some people recommend bug bounties. I don't. Not as a place to learn. Once you've learned, if you want to go out and join bug bounty programs to practice, that's fine. But I don't recommend learning how to pen test on somebody else's bug bounty. And the reason I say that is because more than likely you're going to go out of scope for what the bug bounty is because you're learning. Okay? It's not negative. I'm not bashing you. Just that's what happens. We see it too often. Okay? And so we got to do it. The other thing we have to do is we have to learn ethics. We as an industry spend too much time putting people like Kevin Mitnick and Chris Roberts up on pedestals. Right? And we look at these people and say, hey, there's somebody. Oh my God, he flew a plane sideways. Right? And we put them on stage. We have people who stand up on stage and talk about the illegal stuff they did. And we all applaud and cheer them. And they go to the next conference. What we should be doing, and I'd like to believe I do, but I can't claim for myself. But I believe what we should be doing is advocating for people doing things responsibly. People who are working to improve things. Because I'll tell you right now, if we don't start behaving ethically, we're gonna get this shut down. Right? And too often I see, and I'm not talking about this conference, because you all, of course, are 100% ethical. But I go to way too many conferences where the elevator is broken by the second day of the conference. Because some idiot thought it'd be fun to play with it. Or the screens are messed up, or there's 27 extra ATMs that weren't there at the beginning of the conference. Right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Right? We have to really think about the ethics. Now, I want to point out that I said ethics, not legalities. Because there are things that are legal I don't consider ethical. And we can have that debate if you want. And I won't claim that I don't break my own ethics. Because I'll tell you right now, you mess with either of my daughters or my wife, all of my ethics just became really flexible. I'll admit that. Because I love them. And I'm not a big, strong guy who can beat your ass. But, right? And I want to be very clear that one of the reasons this is so important to me is because I'm where I am today. Because I got to stand on the shoulders of amazing people. And I hope to be the set of shoulders other people can stand on. And I've put some of the people that matter to me up here. Of course, there is a picture of both of my daughters. That's on purpose. Right? They're not that young anymore. But I've got people, Jason, who's my business partner. Jason's amazing. I can't tell you the number of times I go to Jason and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? And he centers me. He focuses me on what the right thing to do is. People like Mike Poore, who I worked for at InGuardians. And I grew as a consultant, as a man, as a person, because of Mike's leadership. and his ability to talk about what was okay to do. And you've got people like James Fields, who I worked with at Blue Cross, where I really feel like every single time I talked to him, I left the conversation a better person. I want every one of us to have that impact on everybody we interact with. If I have a conversation with you, I want to walk away better. I want to walk away smarter. I want to walk away knowing more. I will admit that if you have a conversation with me, you will leave knowing more, even if all you leave with is knowing more that you don't ever want to talk to me again. That is more. Right? Sorry. But this is what we got to do. This is how we need to fix this, right? We have to be like these people. Right? The last person up there that you may not recognize is Albin Johnson. He's the founder of the 501st Legion. Right? And that's our 2KT. Albin's daughter was sick. She died. And she wanted an R2 unit to watch over her when she was sick in the hospital. And the Astromech builders built R2KT. And so she now travels the world raising money for a variety of charities is why they're up there, right? But we have to look at what we do. We have to look at how we interact. And I've got to be honest and tell you that very many times I fail at that. I look back at my day and I remember that conversation I had with the Comcast person and how many times I used those words that I won't repeat now. Comcast has more recordings of me cursing at people than anybody else should. But they deserved it. But I think back to how I interact with people. I think back to how I interacted with the customers. I think back how I talk to people outside. And there are days where I look back on it and I'm ashamed of what I did and what I said and how I worked. And I think to myself, I got to do better. And there are days, if I may say so myself, that I look back on and I think, man, I'm really happy with me today. I did good. I helped people. I felt like I taught people. I feel better about me. And my goal in life is for that second day to happen way more often than the first day. But the thing we have to remember, and this is something I've struggled with for years, is that failing one time isn't a sign of failure. It's failing to get up and do better the next time. And I'm going to fail again. I'll tell you right now, there's a good chance that on the way to the airport, somebody's going to piss me off. Because it's the summer, and all the people who don't know how to travel are traveling. Just take off your damn shoes. I don't have to do that anymore because I have TSA pre-check. But now we have the people who don't know they're not supposed to take off their shoes in that line. I don't understand why that irritates me as much as it does. Put them back on. But I try, right? And my goal is for you to try the same way yourself. So what do? I've talked about it a lot. I've talked about the problem. I've rambled. I've said some stupid jokes. I'll say some more stupid jokes. We have time. I'm full of stupid jokes. Full of lots of things. My eyes are brown. So what do? In my opinion, the way we fix this, okay, and this is huge. I admit that, right? I have outlined 4,000 different things that are wrong. I might be exaggerating slightly. I've talked about the fact that our education system is failing us, right? We are teaching people how to use Java applets in college. And then beating them up when they use Java applets on our stuff, except for Cisco, because for some reason they get away with it. Why do we accept that from Cisco? I don't understand. That's a separate. You know how you can recognize a Cisco admin's workstation? There's 13 different versions of Java running for the various, right? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people like, yeah, damn it, right? I love those machines because I can hack them better. But I've outlined that we have an education problem. I've outlined that we have a price problem. We have a skills gap, whatever we want to call it. We got to come up with a better name because skills gap has become the same thing as like 0-day protection. Have you seen that marketing flaw? 0-day protection? Now I know what the vendor meant. They meant they would protect you before you knew the vulnerability existed. But in my head, 0-day protection, a 0-day, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry, negative day protection is what they referred to it as. A 0-day is a vulnerability exists and we don't have a patch, right? We all agree on that definition. So a negative day in my book is the vulnerability doesn't exist. I'm here to announce SecurityIDEA's new product. It's negative day protection. It's an agentless, softwareless control. There's not even a dashboard. We guarantee that we will protect all of your systems from vulnerabilities that don't exist. Right? Done. That's kind of like the PCI Council saying that no PCI compliant organization has ever been breached. Have you heard that? Do you know why they can honestly say that? Because being breached makes you out of compliance with PCI. Like it's automatic. So they can absolutely say, if you are compliant, you weren't breached. Semantics, it's so much fun. I should have been a marketing guy. No, I shouldn't have been a marketing guy. I am the wrong person to put in front of a group and say, hey, buy our stuff. But, because I'm the person like, you don't want to buy our stuff. You do, you don't. No, maybe you do, I don't know. But, we've also talked about how do we build this up. And in my opinion, the answer is mentoring. Now, I talked to somebody earlier, and he said, and I agree with him, that the term mentoring is overused way too much. He's right. We talk about it, but we don't really define it. Your job, every person in this room's job is to mentor other people. I'd like it to be formal, but informal mentoring is just as important. You should constantly be teaching people stuff. You should constantly be answering questions. You should constantly be learning yourself so that you can. What I like to see, and what we recommend quite often, and what we help implement quite often, is mentoring programs where we will take a security team and we will have them mentor the IT people, the developers, the QA people, the project management people. We have them teach them and show them and guide them into what security means. Because it ties to what I said earlier, that the way to make sure somebody has the right skill set is to give them a background in building things, in making things, in supporting things. If I can go to my developers and show them what security means and help guide them at building out a secure product, right? The next time I need somebody on my security team, I have the staff already. I have the people that I know that not only do they know what I want them to know, because I showed them, but they already work with me. Even if I don't pull them into my team, even if I just continue to work with them as part of the development team, or the QA team, or the project management team, or the management team, they will do better at security. And we see this. I want to be blunt. We have a product we sell. I'm not trying to sell you. Well, I am. I'm always trying to sell. But we have a product we sell called SASTA, the Strategic Application Security Training and Advisory Program. It's literally a program where we mentor your development staff. We mentor your security staff on an ongoing basis. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. As a greedy capitalist, I will tell you, come sign up, pay us, we'll do it. But there's nothing patentable, I'm not sure if that's a real word, but let's go with it, right? For this mentoring program. Anybody can do it. You sit there and you work with people. What we do, and I'm describing our product because I believe it's the right way to do it. I'm also going to describe it in enough detail you can just do it yourself and not buy it from us. Okay? I'd rather you buy it from us. But first, Every 2 weeks, there is an hour to 2 hour live session where we sit down with whatever people are able to sign in, and we teach them various topics of security. So today we'll talk about using parameterized queries and SQL injection and blah, 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 right? Tomorrow, next week or 2 weeks from now, we'll talk about how to work within a web app firewall and why it doesn't solve all the problems and how to tune it and what have you, right? 2 weeks from then, we'll talk about IAM and two-factor, right? Whatever, okay? Then the rest of the time, one, those sessions are recorded. And my answer to you, and I know many people don't like this, I don't like being recorded, okay? But when you do a learning session, record it. And the reason you should record it is, one, you should review it so that you verify how you do it, that you did the right thing, that you can improve yourself. Two, by recording it, it allows people to review it at their own pace, right? So that helps. Second, you have regular open office hours where a person who knows what they're doing, that's critical, is available to hold somebody's hand as they're doing something themselves. Whether it's, hey, we got this report from Veracode and we don't understand what this finding means, or hey, we have this new thing we're implementing and we're not sure if we're doing it correctly, or hey, we're doing this test, we're building a unit test and we need help making sure it's right. Whatever it is, you have open office hours. And you have a regular communication path outside of those open office hours. We use Slack. We have a Slack channel that the people who have subscribed sign into, and we give them, and we guarantee them a response time of like, I think it's 20 minutes. You don't have to do the guarantee. We're a paid service, so we have to do an SLA, right? But you want to make sure that you don't desert whatever communication channel you build. Like a lot of people I see, they'll do it by email. If you have a question, email me and I'll answer your question. And then they just get busy and they ignore the emails, right? Or they think, I'll get to that later. I do that. I regularly will see an email in the morning and think to myself, okay, I'm right in the middle of something. I'll work with this afternoon. And then what happens is like 3 o'clock in the morning, it's like, oh, damn it, I got to get that, right? Like, so don't do that, okay? And then make sure that the other direction works as well. So as I'm talking to these developers about how we test stuff for them, we do screen shares as we're pen testing so that they can see what we're testing, how we're testing it, right? Things like that. At the same time, we regularly talk to them about the technologies they're evaluating. We talk to them about the technologies you're using Vagrant now. Oh, you're using Kubernetes. Oh, you're using whatever, mustard seed libraries or whatever. I made that one up. Probably exists, but, right? Oh, we're using Gatsby. Oh, cool. I've not used Gatsby yet. Let me look at that. Right? Whatever. Okay? You should be learning as much from them as they're learning from you. And if you're not in applications, fine. Mentor the help desk person who has a dream of being I'm going to say full-blown IT person. Help desk people are IT people. But work with the help desk person. Work with the asset management person. Work with the project manager who has to evaluate whether or not that project can go forward and we can use it or what have you. Because way too often we ignore the business side in these learning engagements. We focus on the nerds. Why? Because we talk to nerds fine, right? We relate to the nerds. But I'll tell you right now, that project manager is who's going to determine whether you get budget next year, right? That branch manager, district manager, that UAT person, whatever title you want to come up with. One of the best pen testers I ever worked with. One of the best pen testers I ever worked with was from the help desk. And her job before she was on the help desk was she was a hostess at a restaurant. Right? And she was one of the best pen testers I ever worked with. And the reason she was one of the best pen testers, in my opinion, other than the fact she was a genius, but it was also because, and this sounds weird, but the 4 or 5 years or whatever it was that she was a hostess, standing in front of the public, telling them they had to wait for their dinner, she learned how to interact with people. Way better than I can, right? So she knew how to talk to people and not get them angry and give them information that they weren't going to like hearing. Because let me tell you right now, your company's been working on that application that they're deploying next week for 6 years. And you're about to tell them that the underlying framework they developed is insecure. You're not going to be popular at the next change control meeting. Right? Been there, done that. I have the t-shirt. Right? They learn how to talk to people. That's what we have to do. We have to mentor. We have to show people how we do this. So I've outlined how we do it. And I want to be very clear. The way we do it, very little cost. And I don't mean very little cost to the customer. It is very little cost. I want to say it's $1,500 to $3,500 a month, depending on how many people you put through the program. Right? And the reason I point that out is, we are a consulting firm. The only reason every 2 weeks I'm able to pay payroll is because people hire me. We are a cash flow business. We don't have venture capital. We're not a unicorn. We're not IPOing. The only way I pay payroll every 2 weeks is people hire me. If I can afford to have somebody full-time mentoring people at a subscription rate of $1,500 a month, you can do it inside your organization just as cheaply. Right? Seriously. It's not expensive to help people. There is a cost. One of the costs is your time. And your time is valuable. Or what is it? 86,400 seconds a year, a day, or whatever it is. Right? And every second you waste. I'm not going to sing. I sing horrible. I sing so bad, my grandfather had to leave church when I was a kid because he was laughing. I have no skills. You should see me dance. I only do it in a Star Wars costume. And it's funny. Gamorrean guard. Right? Do this. Help people, work with people. If you have questions, I'm at the end of my time, I believe. But if you have questions, please feel free. Shout them out. I'll answer them. Into the future, if you want to build a mentoring program yourself, yes, obviously, hire me. I'll do it. But if you want to build a mentoring program yourself, if you need help designing and guiding your organization to do what I believe you should do, call me. Because I do believe that I have been blessed beyond what I deserve. And it is my responsibility to help other people succeed. That's what I want. Okay? Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy. I shut off real quick there.